Hello and welcome to what is really a monsoon storm, and that's been a very stormy session of Parliament to begin with. Day one goes to Mayawati, who quit as Rajya Sabha member, slamming the government for trying to muzzle the opposition. Before that, both houses were adjourned after witnessing some unruly behaviour and scenes on both sides. There are very pressing issues: farmer suicides, attack against Dalits, lynching, Indo-China border tension, and all of that. Are we staring at a washout? What does this one make of the Mayawati resignation? Is this political resurrection? Is this going to lead to realignment of politics in Uttar Pradesh? Much more of that will be discussed over the next half an hour. Very special guests are joining us right here. Nalin, Kohli from the BJP, Priyanka Chaturvedi from the Congress Party, Sudhindra, Bhadoria of the Bahujan Samajh Party, and Amar Singh, former leader of the Samajwadi Party. Thank you, gentlemen, and Priyanka, for joining us. I must begin with Mr. Bhadoria. And Mr. Bhadoria, your party chief has quit Rajya Sabha today on grounds that she wasn't allowed to address or raise her voice against the Dalit atrocities. Many people believe this is political opportunism. She's eyeing a chance to resurrect her political career. Will you agree with that, sir? Okay, I think we'll have to go back to Mr. Bhadoria in just a bit. But Nalin, Kohli, you're from the Treasury benches. There was a lot of spar in the Rajya Sabha, and that's when Mayawati decided she's going to call it quits. Many people believe this is a political masterstroke. Her term was in any case going to end by April. She needed to be re-elected. The Samajwadi and the Congress can get together and do that as far as Rajya Sabha is concerned. But others also believe she is looking at political resurrections. She's looking at political revival. Her vote bank was shifting away from her, and this is a big chance to do so. How are the Treasury benches reading into it?
First of all, if any individual in any post wishes to leave that post, relinquish it, resign from it, that person can do so. All they have to do is write a resignation letter. But if that letter is going to be paraphrased, prefaced, with an epilogue, with a prologue, and is large explanations, and is not as per rules, that's a separate scenario. Now, I can't speak on parliamentary procedure. That I'm sure if she's given such a letter, the parliamentary procedure will say whether it's correct or not. What the larger point is, I think, is there are three schools of politics at the moment. There is a politics of accusation and allegation. There's a politics of excuses. These two often match with each other also, come together also. There's a politics of performance and development. Now, as far as the Mayawati ji is concerned, obviously the politics of development and performance hasn't worked for her because she hasn't worked down that route. If she had walked down that route, then she wouldn't have been ejected out of power, and thereafter her party is performing badly with election after election in Uttar Pradesh. As far as the BJP is concerned, we are committed to the politics of performance and the politics of development, which is our agenda of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas under Prime Minister Modi at the center. So whether it's a master stroke or a zero stroke, it all depends from what perspective you're seeing it. If it's from the politics of performance, then you don't need to do all this, you simply perform. And if it's not from the politics of performance, then anything else can be viewed from that context.
Mr. Bhadoria, come in on that. Nalin Kohli from the BJP says that this isn't politics of performance and this is grandstanding with an epilogue and a prologue in her letter. I'm asking you a very basic question. Mayawati has taken this high moral ground that she's decided to quit the Rajya Sabha because she wasn't allowed to speak on the Dalit atrocities. People believe she's eyeing political revival. She's looking at political resurrection. Her vote base was shifting away from her. Sir.
Well, let me put the record straight that this step of Bahan Mayawati ji is to uphold democratic tradition. It is also going to take her into the annals of history like Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar when he resigned from the government in the early 50s on the Hindu Code Bill. It was the same Bharatiya Janasangh of which BJP is the offshoot now, burned the effigy of Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar in the same city of Delhi at the Ramlila grounds. Let me also say this, that Bahan Mayawati ji was trying to raise the issue of Dalits, and this is not new. She raised this issue when the atrocities on Dalits took place in Una, when the Rohit Vemula case was there, when now in Shabbirpur, in Saharanpur, she has raised this issue again. And let me also say this, she has been constantly trying to It is a different issue that you are in power. You may be in power today, you will not be in power tomorrow. The Congress has been there in power for so many years. That doesn't mean that they are a permanent fixture for the people of this country. BJP is in power today, may not be in power tomorrow. BJP was in power, went out of power. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a great leader, but he lost his elections also in the same country. Therefore, I want to say that arrogance should not be there when you are in power. When she was trying to raise this issue under Rule 267, which allows her to raise this issue, she was prevented, she was heckled, she was disturbed. Ministers and treasury benches were trying to heckle her. She is not allowed to speak in the parliament for Dalits, for the minorities who are being lynched. I think by doing so, Bahan Mayawati ji has done taken the right decision, and she will be remembered in democratic history and in the history of parliamentary democracy for this bold step.
Okay, let's get in a word from somebody who's known Ms. Mayawati very closely, an old friend, Mr. Amar Singh. It's good to have you on ET now. Are you going to read this as a supreme sacrifice by Ms. Mayawati from the Bahujan Samajh party, like her party wants us to believe, or do you really believe this is political resurrection that she's eyeing right now?
First of all, I must correct you. I am twice expelled from Samajwadi party. Was by father Mulayam Singh and next time by son Akhilesh Yadav. I have got nothing to do with Samajwadi party, and I will have nothing to do with Samajwadi party either in the future. I see a larger game in this.
Former Samajwadi
in any case,
party.
Her term was about to end. Huh? I am not in Samajwadi party. I am expelled.
No, go ahead, sir. Please go ahead.
If you have taken me as representative of Samajwadi
yes, sir,
party,
please go ahead.
As a
no, I haven't. I've taken you as a former Samajwadi party member.
As a beginning of a yes, please. It's a new alignment of forces, maybe, because in any case, Bahan Mayawati's term is about to finish early next year, and she does not have enough MLA support to win back Rajya Sabha seat again. By doing so, she has got a fillip in her political career, and other pseudo-secular forces like Samajwadi Party and Congress will be compelled to rally behind her, because I don't think anybody from Phulpur constituency, which is likely to be her next Lok Sabha constituency, there will be any better candidate either with Congress or Samajwadi Party given their present situation. So this will be a beginning of an exercise for coming parliamentary election, and Mayawati ji's chance to get back in the mainstream of electoral politics. And I see nothing wrong, because everyone plays this kind of move for their own political survival and for own political strategy. And the issues Mayawati ji has raised, she is entitled to raise, but to say that she was not allowed is not correct, because Kurian ji is usually very much stickler of rule, and he is not from BJP. He is a congressman from Kerala. Whether it is Amar Singh or in past Jaya Bachchan, he has done so with everybody. He has got a stick of rule in his hand on the chair, and he behaves like this with one and all. So she is not an exception. But Mayawati ji, being Mayawati, being a very senior leader, being a so-called Dalit icon, she must not have taken this very easily, and she must have taken this close to her heart, that she is insulted and all that. And what can be the better opportunity for Congress, or for that matter Samajwadi Party? Their vote has shrunk totally, and Mayawati ji has had personal problem with Mulayam Singh. Mulayam Singh is no longer on the scene. Now alliance between Mayawati ji and Akhilesh Yadav, who calls her Bua, is quite possible, and Mayawati is arrogant enough not to ask support from Akhilesh. Right. But Akhilesh is clever enough to give support on his own, so as to ensure that in difficult times, at least one prominent opposition face erupts to embarrass Bharatiya Janata Party.
Right.
This is my pure political analysis. As analyst, I have got great regard for Sudhindra Bhadoria, whose father was a great socialist leader of my state, Commander Arjun Singh Bhadoria.
Right, right. Mr. Singh, just hold your thoughts there because I must get in the Congress party since you are referring to the Congress. Priyanka Chaturvedi, even as Mayawati was walking out of Rajya Sabha, and if we can play the visuals for our viewers here, you have to see how Digvijay Singh actually almost leapt over, leapt over Ahmed Patel to stop her from storming out of the house. And of course, then there are these voices of sympathy from all sides. Let's play those visuals, please. There are voices of sympathy from the Congress, there are voices of sympathy from the Samajwadi Party. So these voices of sympathy are in fact coming to fore. My only question is that are we perhaps seeing the beginning of political realignment? I want to play visuals of when she's storming out of the Rajya Sabha and when Digvijay Singh tries and stops her. But let's go across to Priyanka Chaturvedi to ask that question. Are we seeing the beginning of a political realignment triggered by Mayawati's resignation? Is this a very well thought out political strategy?
Yes, so okay, so before I answer your question, I just wanted to go back to what the BJP spokesperson was saying, where he spoke about politics of development. I must say here that yes, the Bharatiya Janata Party has concentrated on politics of development for the Dalits. We saw that happen in the case of Una. We saw that happen in Saharanpur. We have seen that in Rohit Vemular's case. We have seen how 15% rise in Dalit atrocities we've seen across the country. This is the NCRB data that I'm quoting to you. Every 9 minutes an atrocity takes place in India on a Dalit. This is something that NCRB tells us the highest rate of Dalit atrocities have been recorded in states governed by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra are the top 3 states. So this is the development of progress that he was speaking about. This is the politics of development that he has been speaking about. Having said that, this has been a consistent, attitude of the ruling party. Just because they come with the single largest party majority, they believe that they are above them all, and they refuse to believe in the constitutional norms that prevail even inside the parliament. They have chosen not to hear people. We saw that happen during the Rohit Vemula debate. We saw how Ms. Smriti Irani came forward with some kind of whole set of lies to defend what had happened, even in the Rajya Sabha, in an answer to Ms. Mayawati, and her behavior said it all. So when you speak about the entire process that we have been seeing, how dissenting voices are being thwarted, this was yet another attempt inside the parliament to thwart another voice to discuss on Dalit atrocities. So if she talks about it, and if she's refused to be given that time, when we see immense amount of riots happen in Saharanpur, a state she comes from, and she's not being allowed to speak on that, that in itself shows the conspiracy behind silencing dissenting voices. So if we all speak about it, I would not say it's a political realignment, but yes, it is a cause for worry that when you have a party in power refusing to allow space for dissent, then we are all going to rally around people who are being silenced. So this is one of those moments where we see Ms. Mayawati walking out, and we stand by her in solidarity simply because she was raising important, pertinent points, and these are facts that you cannot brush under the carpet just because the Bharatiya Janata Party won't allow that to happen.
When the news broke, what with all of you? Okay, so everybody stands in solidarity is the word that's coming in from Priyanka Chaturvedi. Let me get the BSP spokesperson, Mr. Bhadoria, on record to answer my question. Mr. Bhadoria, are you willing to ally your forces with Akhilesh and with the Congress in Uttar Pradesh? That's exactly what you did not do in the assembly elections. There was a drubbing of sorts that was received by all 3 parties. I'm asking you, is Mayawati and the Bahujan Samajh Party today more open to a political alignment with the Congress and with the Samajwadi Party?
Well, on that, Bahan Mayawati ji will make a statement when the opportune time comes, and we will cross the bridge at that time. But the issue is, at the moment, and I think all democratic forces who are against fascism, who are against authoritarianism, who are also against any effort to disrupt the constitution and democratic practices of this country, should consolidate, should come together, and Bahan Mayawati ji has been making those statements. Our party leaders have been attending all such meetings, and which means that all democratic forces of this country who believe firmly in upholding the constitution of this country should come together. The Bharatiya Janata Party and its allies are trying to disrupt all the positive gains of our freedom movement, of our constitution, and of the rich democratic traditions that we have in this country. And it is therefore, it is a historic move which Bahan Mayawati ji has made, and I am quite sure that all opposition will respond to the issue which she has raised. And of course, the ruling party ministers and MPs have heckled her, but we will take it to the streets, to the farms, to the factories of this country, and let the people of this country know what is the character of this government, how it is anti-Dalit, how it is anti-poor, how it is anti-minorities, and then the entire people and all the democratic forces will definitely overthrow the regime which is working against the high principles of democracy and this constitution of India.
Okay, Nalin, Kohli, I want you to come in on that, and I just want to broad-base the discussion a little more than just Mayawati's resignation today. Yes, it is symbolic of sorts, because she is
broad enough already. It's broad enough already. I have so many things to say just on what the Congress has said and what Sudhindra ji has said. So I don't know whether we should.
Nalin, Kohli, I'm asking you a direct question.
Take a lot of time in answering your question.
I'm asking you a direct question, Mr. Kohli. No. Mr. Kohli, I'm asking you a direct question. You can answer that along with everything else that you want to say. The issues that were raised in Parliament today, TMC wants and has issued a notice to have a debate on China. Congress has moved an adjournment motion to have a debate on farmer unrest. The Dalit atrocities is the issue that Mayawati has raised. Lynching, communal tension on the rise, again an issue that's rocking Parliament. Are there too many issues that the government is cornered on in this monsoon session of Parliament, and which is why we are seeing a storm that we are seeing in this session?
First, on your question, I think you like the word cornered. I don't know where is this cornered, the government is cornered from. Parliament is a forum for discussion and debate. If it's as per rules and if the time permits, you can debate anything as long as it's constructive. We've seen in earlier Parliament sessions, there have been good debates, and there have been debates where the Treasury benches or the BJP have heard out very patiently the opposition, all their charges. And when our senior leaders have spoken, they've been heckled. So all sorts of things we have seen in Parliament. With regard now, so there is no cornering. It doesn't matter this, because I come back to my original contention. In the politics of performance, and I must compliment both Sudhindra ji for the BSP and Priyanka ji for the Congress for only confirming my first argument of today's show, that there is a politics of allegation and accusation, and there is a politics of performance. Let me give an example on the Dalit issue. Yes, in India, we work for Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So do we say if a gas connection, and 2.5 crore gas connections have gone out to the poorest of the poor who didn't have it? We haven't seen whether it is a Dalit or a non-Dalit or denied a Dalit and given to somebody else. It's given to everybody because everyone has to come. Now, probably I feel because we have in Ramnath Kovind ji a tall leader who's now going to be expectedly the next president of the country, that could be one of the factors that is prompting all of this. So I don't, therefore I come back to it. It's the politics of some kind of politics, but certainly not the politics of performance, because everything on this show has been only allegations and allegations. And if you talk about FIRs being registered, I can say this also as an advocate, that if you do not permit the registration of FIRs, which is a major problem with police forces in states where they don't want the truth to come out, and we've seen that in many of the states, then you say that no, the crime is low. But the policy of the BJP has always been that every crime must be reported, not brushed under the carpet. So if you see also an increase, the counter story to that is that people want to exercise their right. They want to go ahead and file an FIR and take action against the guilty, and that is not being prevented. That is empowerment under the same constitutional scheme. My final point, this word fascism and fascist, I find it amusing every time it's brought, because it's the massive self-goal that any person who puts this allegation on the BJP does. Fascism never originated in India. It originated only in one country, and that was Italy in Europe. So I don't know where is the fascist thinking in the BJP coming from. We have nothing to do directly or indirectly with Italy. Second is, with terms of the constitution under threat, the only time the constitution has been under threat and suspended was 1975 emergency under Shrimati Indira Gandhi, who was not and never has been a member of the BJP. And the BJP was not part of that decision making. Our leaders were in jail. So I think when arguments are made, for the sake of arguments, they only confirm what I said in the beginning, that this is the politics of accusation and allegations, not the politics of performance.
Priyanka Chaturvedi, I can see your finger go up, and I'm also going to get views from the rest of you. But let's begin with you, Ms. Chaturvedi.
So, firstly, he keeps talking about allegations. These were not mere allegations. I was citing NCRB data, which comes from the government of the day. So, this is something that he has to answer. These are not allegations. Having said that, now let's look at the SC sub-plan that we had created, where we had allotted a budget of over 5% every financial budget, which was targeting to reach people who were deprived of welfare funds, and we had created that sub-plan. The Bharatiya Janata Party has consistently tried to remove it, and it's come down to 1.9%. You look at all the welfare schemes for women, for children of people belonging to SC, ST and minorities have been reduced substantially under their watch. Let's talk about government jobs. During our tenure, we provided around 92,000 jobs in the year 2013 in 1 year itself. They have brought it down substantially by 91%. So numbers speak for themselves when they talk about Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, etc. And it's interesting that he talks about the emergency. Let me remind him, considering that they were not ever in part of the government or would want to do anything with the freedom movement as well, that at that point in time in 1975, emergency was very much part of a constitutional right that the government of the day could practice. We abolished that. That happened under after we came back to power. So yes, there were some inconsistencies during the emergency, which Mrs. Indira Gandhi herself owned up and apologized in the parliament. Let's also not forget that she was elected twice over by the people of this country post this entire emergency that they keep harping about all the time. Now he talks about Italian connection, about fascism. So he must remember that Mr. Veer Savarkar had written highly about Italian fascism and how it kind of made him feel in tune with how India should be post the freedom movement, and this was something that they chose not to participate in. So their point of view, their history is testimony to itself that what they believe in, what they follow, and how they plan to go about it now that they are in power.
Okay. I'll get Sudhindra Bhadoria to answer that, to also make his point, and then take it to Mr. Amar Singh. Mr. Bhadoria, you wanted to make a point to something that Nalin Kohli had said. It's a rebuttal that's coming in from the Congress party, but let's hear the BSP as well.
No, he was talking about, constantly how they have been working towards development. They have the mandate. They are victorious. They are in power. I would like to go back in history. We know that you are in power. We also know that there was a government in power in 50s when Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, when he resigned on the Hindu Code Bill, he resigned on a principle. He resigned against a very powerful Prime Minister and a very powerful government of that time. But that does not make him smaller. That makes him only more taller, and he is one of the tallest sons of this country, and that has made him go into the annals of history, and he will be remembered for thousands of years for upholding the rights of not only of Dalits, of women also, of the poor of this country also. And Bahen Mayawati ji, as a true follower of Baba Sahib Bhimrao Ambedkar, has followed in his footsteps by resigning today when democratic rights are being trampled by those in power, and that is what she has done.
Amar Singh, I'm going to ask you the question that a lot of people in New Delhi and everywhere are beginning to ask. And I know you're not a member of the present Samajwadi Party, but as an independent member in the House and as somebody who's seen enough politics around, this whole idea of an opposition seems to be very elusive, because when it came to the presidential elections, the opposition was divided. When it comes to, there was cross-voting of sorts that we saw even in the presidential elections. My only question is the idea of a united opposition that the BSP or the Congress or the SP are trying to harbor really elusive? Does it exist? Because at the end of the day, these are regional factors that are really coming to fore.
See, necessity is the mother of invention. And I will tell you, that in spite of Nitish Kumar openly siding with Ramnath Kovind, the Congress High Command is still busy talking to him, and nobody wants to talk harshly against Nitish Kumar because they fear that the one state where Congress is participating in power, they are likely to lose. And I will not go in deep past, but for the first time in the history of India, BJP President and Vice President are coming to seat. I will very humbly and politely want to know from esteemed great national party called Indian National Congress that why they do politics of symbolism when they had such a huge electoral college that all the president and vice president so far they have elected, why they symbolically use Dalits like Meera Kumar against Ramnath Kovind and Sushil Kumar Shinde against Bhairav Singh Shekhawat as sacrificial goat. Are Dalits only sacrificial goat used for symbolism? And they can't say that they are not having numbers, they were not having electoral college. And I am not saying that atrocity is committed, we are not committed. But to err is human and to accept error is divine. Ultimately, Mr. Narendra Modi has not done politics of symbolism. He has selected a Dalit and he is going to be elected at first given opportunity. You cannot take it away from him. You will have to accept the truth. And Ramnath Kovind as hugely, humongously elected first Dalit President of India, it's a remarkable reply to all the detractors of Bharatiya Janata Party. I am not a member of Bharatiya Janata Party. I am not getting indulgent in any psychophancy. I respect Sudhindra Bhadoria. Priyanka is also a friend. But this is historical truth that in spite of having electoral college, in spite of having enough capability of electing a Dalit President or Vice President or making a Prime Minister, Jagjeevan Ram could have been made Prime Minister also.
Right.
But it never happened.
Right.
Sushil Kumar. So I will simply say this.
Mr. Singh, you stand corrected there because it was actually K.R. Narayanan who was the first Dalit president of this country. But I'm running short on time, so I'm going to take a quick last word from Nalin Kohli. And Mr. Kohli, you know, we at ET Now obviously obsess a lot over legislation and lawmaking in Parliament. Is it safe to presume that this session is staring at a washout, is staring at a storm because no meaningful work is likely to be done given how acrimonious the relationship really is and the issues there are?
No, I don't agree with that. We should be hopeful, we should be positive because in the past, despite the political acrimony that exists, there has been definitely work that has transacted well. Now on to one statement on each of the charges. You can't have this argument both ways as the Congress does that, you know, Mrs. Gandhi won the elections on the same allegations that everybody is doing such a great job as the UPA Congress did. As Mayawati, they've lost elections, we won elections and we continue to win elections. So if that is to be the norm, it has to apply both ways. It can't apply only to one way, which is where the Gandhi family is involved. That I add is the new politics. Another form of the politics of, you know, I call it the politics of entitlement. The second part is in terms of Babarao Bhimsaheb Ambedkarji. He's a great son of India. He's a great son of India and Indians respect him universally. He's not limited to anyone. His contribution is immense. But if Mayawati ji were just to consider, then Bhadoria ji would do well to explain to me. I never saw him ever say, build my statues holding a briefcase or a handbag. So working for the Dalits is a different thing than showcasing that we want to work for the Dalits. The BJP believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. We are only going to stick to that. We will keep working for every segment of society.
Okay, even as you keep working for every segment of society, there are fireworks in Parliament. Mayawati, considered to be one of a tall political leader from Uttar Pradesh, has resigned on grounds that she was not allowed to speak. Many people believe this is political opportunism and her chance of political resurrection. The Congress party believes they're standing in unison with Mayawati, but of course there is political opportunism according to Amar Singh in that as well. But completely out of time, thank you very much Ms. Priyanka Chaturvedi, Mr. Nalin Kohli, Mr. Amar Singh and Mr. Sudhindra Bhadoria for being with us right here on ET Now. Thank you viewers for tuning in into what really looks like a monsoon storm.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/ETNow.